I'm Roger Barnes. This is my boat Avel Dro. She's a 15-foot open dinghy. As you can see, she's plywood. She's not as old as she looks. She's only 25 years old, and she is designed very much in the style of a Breton fishing boat of the beginning of the 20th century, but subtly updated to suit modern usages. So she has a centreboard, and I use her for dinghy cruising, which is what she's designed for. She's part of a movement in France called RYA, which means sail and oar. So she has serious oars. These are 10 foot long. They're actually a little over 10 foot long. This is how long oars are if you really use oars to properly propel a boat. So she has two of them, obviously. I tend actually often to simply scull the boat though, like that, rather than row. But I do have two oars. When I'm camping, I have obviously the gear, but we sleep on the bottom of the boat. There's a camping cover goes over the top. We have the ability to cook underway as well as overnight, and that's the cooking gear is in this box. We have, as you can see, many pans, but it is actually a proper yacht stove, and the pans do stay put. And in the side here there's cutlery, there's coffee pot, all sorts of stuff like that. But that will actually work when the boat's heeling. You can actually sort of do a brew up when you're sailing along. And this all can come out of the boat if I want to sort of clear it away when I'm not sailing. The boxes just can be removed. Everything you tend, because I have been sailing for quite a long time, to get in the way of having everything very neatly packed away, and place for everything and everything in its place is the saying. There's another box over here which is matching, and this is full of food. Really is full of food. Breakfast cereal, tinned fish, all sorts of stuff like that, olive oil, herbal tea, and I'm leaving me breakfast cereal out. There we are. There is another box up front here. This has a big battery in it, because I do actually have 12-volt electrics on this boat, so there's a great big battery. That means I can recharge my VHF. It also runs a electric bilge pump, because if there's waves breaking on board, it's quite nice to turn on an electric bilge pump and have the boat bailing itself out automatically. So there is an electric bilge pump, and it also runs down here. If you want to bring the camera around, I have, these are wonderful. I have a chart plotter. So as you can see, it's GPS, but it actually shows a chart. So this is actually where we are in Weymouth. And although I have obviously a paper chart as well and the ability to navigate on paper, this is so good for a dinghy. It's actually really difficult when waves are breaking over in a rough sea to navigate on a chart, whereas that obviously you can put in waypoints and it will give you a direction to sail in. You can stop, you can crouch down in the bottom of the boat, you can reset a new destination. Really good things, chart plotters. So I'm all part of the electronic revolution. The battery lasts about half a week if it's used continuously running the chart plotter. I just go to a marina and plug into shore power and recharge it. That's how I work with the battery. Yes, I was going to show you the VHF. I actually have a spare. I always have two VHFs. So I keep one out and then have another one in case something happens. I think this is your main means of calling for help nowadays in the modern world. Obviously on channel 16. I do still carry flares, and I also have an EPIRB. This is a full EPIRB, so that's a satellite emergency beacon which deploys from the boat and will float around. I take the view that you stay with the boat, so the boat won't sink. This is an unsinkable boat with built-in buoyancy. I have extra buoyancy put in, which are these fenders which can work as fenders, but they also work as extra buoyancy bags. But this boat it is its own life raft, it wouldn't actually sink. This has been tested for real. I have capsized this boat in the open sea, so it does very definitely stay afloat, and you can right her and you can get sailing again. It's important to know you can do that. You don't need to be too pessimistic about it, but you do have to think what would happen if the worst happens. I have compasses. I have two, so they're away from the GPS, because obviously they need to be away from something electric. But also, when you're sitting sailing, you want it, it's right in front of you. These light up at night. Everything lights up at night. What else is there to show you? There are bags up here. This is the camping cover. This is actually a toy rubber dinghy I use as a tender. I have water carriers, 2 5-litre water carriers for obviously water. Under here are normally tied down waterproof bags. These are roll top bags. These obviously they have my gear in. There's camping sleeping gear and clothes, but when I'm sailing they are also tied down, so they act as that additional buoyancy in the boat because they're obviously lighter than water. Other thing that's really actually important on a cruising dinghy is comfort, because you're sitting in the boat for a long time. So as you can see, I actually have tied down here cushions on the side deck, so when you're sailing along you're on a nice comfy cushion, and these are even more comfy cushions. So yeah, comfort. And actually often sail along sitting down in the boat like this. If it's not really windy, I tend to be sailing in the boat, so I can put a cushion on the floor and sort of snuggle down like this. I tend to this is an life jacket, which I have borrowed for this film, but my own life jacket is actually a buoyancy aid, so it actually pads the back of my my back as well when I'm leaning like this. There are various pockets full of little things. This is a sea anchor. Don't use that very often, but electric torches, sorts of stuff that comes in handy. But the main thing is, as you can see, there is actually a lot of gear on this boat, but it all vanishes into cubby holes, and it all has a place, so that even in the dark I know where to find things. Actually, there's a radar reflector as well, look, folded in front of the mast. Don't use that very often, but if you are caught in a fog, it's worth thinking about what your radar signature is. So I do have the ability to, that's collapsible radar reflector, to hoist that up the mast. I actually have 2 anchors. There's one down here, which I use as a stern anchor. Cruising dinghies, this is a 10-pound anchor, and there's 5 meters of chain on it. Anchors need to be quite beefy, actually. Really useful things, anchors. If you're in a condition of crisis and you're in fairly shallow water, the first thing you do is drop the sail and put the anchor down, and then you can think about what you're going to do next, and you're not drifting off anywhere. It's this whole thing about boats of not staying put, you know, that can add to the stress. And if you've got an ability to stop, almost invariably putting the anchor down is a good thing to do if you're in an emergency. So you always have at least one anchor ready. My second one's more tied down, but that one is always there ready to be, you know, chucked over the side.